Hello everyone, it is Drake here and welcome back to another video. And here we have Eternal Sugar Cookie. She's finally here, the fourth beast, and let's actually just start by going over her skill. But you might notice,
hey, you don't have any biscuits or toppings on her.
That's for later. First, we're going to review her skill. So let's get right into that. Eternal Sugar Cookie floats atop a cotton candy cloud, restoring her own HP, and gains an HP shield and immunity. Immunity from, like, attacks, when she's like, dodging. She summons a saccharine breeze, charming enemies and dealing periodic damage. Affected enemies suffer from the delightful temptation debuff, while immune targets receive damage. Afterwards, the sugar coating cracks, dealing damage and putting enemies into an enchanted state. Enchanted's duration increases based on the number of charm stacks. When enchantment is dispelled, its duration is over, or if the target is immune, the effect changes to laxness. If the target is immune, they receive additional damage. Eternal Sugar Cookie's mythic beauty makes enemies who deal damage to her gain the guilt debuff. At maximum stacks, guilt will deal damage to the target in proportion to their attack. Okay, this is gonna be insane. The target will also receive increased damage and reduced healing. Okay, that's gonna play lots of factors into the arena meta. Start of the battle, Eternal Sugar Cookie will appear floating atop a cotton candy cloud surrounded by her cotton candy angels. The cotton candy angels will follow the rest of the team, buffing them and themselves and dealing damage and debuffing the enemies. The fewer team members are left on the battlefield, the stronger this effect becomes. Eternal Sugar Cookie herself is resistant to charm, enchantment, and laxness. Okay, so she's immune to all of her different stuff. So the Saccharine Breeze is her main attack that does self-healing plus 6% every 1 second for 10 seconds, assuming of her attack. HP shield is 85% of her max. Dang, 85% of her max HP? That's actually insane. What? Damage is up to 14 hits over 3.5 seconds. Okay, so that's going to deal with a lot of the fire spirit he summons when cookies die. That'll be very, very good to counter those, as well as Shadow Milk's hit shield. Does up to 14 hits over 3.5 seconds. Does poison damage per hit, around 63%. Ignores 40% of target's damage resist. And the charm debuff goes up to 3 seconds. Delightful Temptation is an amplified debuff. Shield minus 15%. Less HP shield, which will kind of counter Pure Vanilla a little bit. It stacks up to 3 times, so that could be up to minus 45% shield, and if the target is immune, it just deals damage up to around 500% of Eternal Sugar Cookie's attack. So internal enchantment is the Dazzling Light. The damage to cookies is 113.8% of max HP plus 1,317% of attack, ignores 40% of damage resist. And damage others is 248.8% of attack plus the same amount of attack. Like that's just insane. Come on. It's 1,500% of Eternal Sugar Cookie's attack. That's insane. Enchanted goes for 3 seconds and plus 0.5 seconds increase per stack of Delightful Temptation. If the target is immune, deals damage equal to 500% of their attack. Kind of similar to the Delightful Temptation up here. So laxness. All right. Cooldown slowed by 25%. So we have another Mystic Flower thing here. Yeah. Attack speed minus 35%. Healing minus 10%. Kind of close to Mystic Flower. But laxness for others decreases attack speed. So that would be really good in cooldown slowed by 50%.
Wow, man. Damn.
Okay, now that's just crazy. Both go for 18 seconds, by the way. So laxness is absolutely insane. So here's the mythic beauty. This is the guilt debuff that I assumed was going to be good. So it's damage minus 10% for 15 seconds. So it's like a damage dealt down. So they only do 90% of damage. Damage at max guilt stacks would be 734.9% of attackers attack. That's crazy. So against, let's say, like an enemy Shadow Milk with like a 200,000 attack stat, that would deal upwards of 1.4 million damage to Shadow Milk. And others, obviously, it's lowered because... no, this is of Eternal Sugar Cookie's attack. Okay, so that's interesting. And she gains damage. She gains, like, a damage up, basically. The enemies who have the guilt debuff receive damage up 45%. And they also lose healing for minus 30%. So now, the Cotton Candy Angels, they start out with max HP plus 35, damage resist plus 40. Oh, no, this is for Eternal Sugar. Dang. Wow, what a debuff. I mean, buff. Jeez. Starts with HP shield equal to 150% of max HP for 10 seconds. So it's going to be shielding her in the beginning of the battle. All allies damage plus 25%. So it's just 25% damage up for the entire team. It's insane. Just 3 allies left, damage plus 7%, and now 2 allies left. Cooldown faster by 5%. That's insanity. Cotton Candy Angel damage up to 8 hits over 4 seconds every 20 seconds to enemies in the area. Damage per hit is 5% of attack. 3 allies left, activated every 15 seconds, attack minus 12.5 5 for 15 seconds, 2 allies left, activated every 10 seconds. All element damage plus 35% for 15 seconds will be absolutely insane with Fire Spirit, the last one alive. That's a crazy skill. Eternal Sugar Cookie is going to be absolutely broken. So let's go into the world exploration. Let's actually go ahead and test her out. Not here. Let's go to 1730. So this is where I'm actually going to go over her actual build. So going into her toppings, there's 2 different sets that you're going to use. 3 actually. 2 for PvP, 1 for PvE. So let's go right in. So the first set that you're going to use is the 2-second start Eternal Sugar build. That is going to be focusing on damage resist, cooldown, and attack only on the toppings, as well as an attack tart. And for the biscuit, you're going to want to focus all on damage resist bypass. Mine kind of stinks because I'm focusing all my radiance on the guild. That's the 2-second start build for Arena. Now, the 1-second start, see how it changes? It's 1-second start. You're going to use 4 raspberry toppings, 1 chocolate topping, and a chocolate tart, because you're going to want to have upwards of 16.5% cooldown, I think, all the way up to there. Just make sure you get that 1-second start, because some arena builds, especially in the arena video that is going to be coming out pretty soon, are going to have the 1-second start Eternal Sugar, as well as the same damage resist bypass toppings. And you may ask, why not use cooldown? It's because of the amount of damage that she's doing. In order for it to scale well, unlike with Fire Spirit, her damage needs to be constant, just needs to be insane damage at first part, let it recharge, and then just do another bit of insane damage. With Fire Spirit, you kind of needed to just have his flame be on the ground at all times. But for the purpose of PvE, we're going to be using this build with the cooldown set. So now it is up to 31% cooldown with a full raspberry build, even with tart. You can even swap out the raspberry tart for a chocolate tart if you do want that maximum amount of cooldown. So for the treasures, we're actually going to be going with the scroll, the whistle, and the watch. I will be going over the chest treasure later in the video because that is also a crazy treasure to use. Let's use Eternal Sugar Cookie and let's find out her skill. All right, so here is her skill. There's a cotton candy angel. Let's use it. Whoa. I don't even think it survived. That's insanity. And there's the cooldown recovery because she's the only cookie on the team. There's the damage dealt up. Now, here comes it. She just one-shot 1730. I have no words. Okay, so now let's actually use her on a hard stage, maybe even in episode 18, where there's actual enemies to be fought. Let's try here in 1828, per se, because I want to see how the AoE effects do affect her. Here we are. Here's enemies. Charmed. There's the enchanted debuff, which freezes them. And there is the fly damage, or whatever, angel. There's the guilt debuff being applied again. Pretty sure it's on there. And she kills them all. Absolutely insane how good Eternal Sugar Cookie is for PvE and PvP. Charming them is equivalent to stunning. And then even with the, what's it called? The frozen, it's basically freezing them and then giving them laxness. It's insane. It's insane how good Eternal Sugar Cookie is. She just soloed. I'm even tempted to try her against 1830.
No, it's time to rejoice.
So let's go do that. All right, so here we are in 1830. Let's see how Eternal Sugar Cookie does against a harder stage. I did on story mode just because the dark mode boss is a little difficult. All right, here we go.
Sweet slumber.
You already see that she's doing 10 million damage. First skill.
Sweet slumber.
This is insanity. She just straight up soloed the boss. It's all because of that extra damage that you get from...
Sweetest victory.
Yeah. I just have no words. Her skill's broken. It's insane. You really can't deny this, but Eternal Sugar Cookie is going to be a staple of the meta, both PvE and PvP, for the next calendar year. I'm telling you right now, it's just her AoE damage is just too crazy to even think. It's just too crazy. With that, I'm actually gonna go. So leaving that, I'm gonna have to end the video here. So let's go over her builds real quick. So for the first build would be the 2-second start build. That's full raspberry with damage resist, cooldown and attack, all selected. The tart is going to be a full raspberry tart. And for the 1-second start build, you're gonna want a cooldown tart and around 15% cooldown on toppings. Let me just remove the tart for reference. Around 10.7% on toppings you want. And with the tart, it's gonna be around 15.4%. And you also get the 2-piece set effects that adds on to make it 17%. So don't forget about that as well. And well, as this comes out, hopefully the arena guide will also be in the works. So stay tuned for that and make sure to, build Eternal Sugar Cookie the right way. And have a good day, guys.